Connect the world.
Peter, AZHODL, Bitcoin farmer, Arizona, USA.
The Colorado is a 2,334 kilometer long river in the USA. The water is used for irrigation and as the main water supply for the 40 million inhabitants of the region. Due to the large flow and the steeply incised riverbed of the headwaters, the Colorado lends itself well to hydroelectric power stations. Will the river be used one day for Bitcoin mining in an ecological way?
Yes.
Are you living on a Bitcoin standard?
Yes.
The Paleolithic or Stone Age diet consists mainly of fish, meat from animals that have fed on grasses, vegetables, fruits, roots, and nuts. It contains no grains, legumes, dairy, salt, refined sugar from processed food. Is this a way of life?
Yes.
Tupac Amaru Shakur, also known as Magavel, was an American rapper, poet, and actor. He sold over 75 million records, being regarded as one of the greatest rappers of all time and a pioneer of the West Coast rap. Do you know that Tupac was born and raised in Harlem, New York?
No.
Scarface is a 1983 American cult film written by Oliver Stone, directed by Brian De Palma, and music made by Giorgio Moroder. Do you know the word yayo, used by Tony Montana for the word cocaine, was originally not in the screenplay?
No.
I always meditate after my daily workout.
Yes.
Atlas Shrugged is a 1957 novel by Ayn Rand, in which entrepreneurs in the United States revolt against collectivism, government policies. The novel is a utopia and dystopia in one and expresses the ideas of objectivism. It has been cited as an influence on a variety of libertarian and conservative thinkers and politicians. Did you also see the film Trilogy?
No.
I will add Connect the World to the podcast tips on my website.
Yes.
Galileo Galilei was an Italian physicist, astronomer, mathematician, and philosopher from the 16th and 17th century. Galileo published his discoveries as an anagram, by scrambling the letters of a sentence. He could then prove afterwards by giving the solution of the anagram that he was the first discoverer. Did you know that Pisa Airport in Italy is named after him?
No.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Stef. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 27 of Connect the World. Stef!
Hey, man!
Good to see you again, man.
Good to see you, Edward. Yeah. Well, what should I say, man? Tough few days, yeah. Well, it actually went pretty well the whole week. But of all nights, last night was horrific. So,
And it's getting worse, right?
Yeah, it's getting no. Well, yeah, it was perfectly fine. But last night, my youngest son he got some stomach cramps. So every hour or so. So man, and we didn't had a lot of sleep last night.
And ask more attention, and then
man.
Well, it's fine that you're both together, right?
Yeah. And normally my oldest he's always waking up at 7:30 or maybe sometimes even 8. So and I don't know why, but this morning he was waking up at 6. So I was like, oh my God, why
it's too
now?
early, man.
Yeah, you can do that every day of the week, but not today. And he decided to do it today. But Yeah, man. I mean, you know the drill, Edward.
Yeah, I know the drill, but not with two. But you're right. I know the drill, and I'm happy to have slept well one night early.
Yeah. Well, it was crazy. But one question for you, Edward, because I'm looking at the script now, and it says baby Stef and then Terra and Luna, but you don't think I'm calling my two sons Terra and Luna, right? Or what is this?
No. It would be a bad idea, I think, if you. No, well, I thought, well, let's talk about you and about your baby, of course. And if I'm not mentioning, I will see it at your face. But Terra and Luna, we have to say something about it. But I thought, well. Let's not talk about it in the news part because, well, it's a different issue, I think, than if you talk only about Lightning. But it touches everything around it, right? Yeah. Because it's cryptocurrency, and there was a lot happening. So to not mention it would be weird.
So, but I think we can.
For you, it's nice that you slept through it, right?
Well, I mean, I have a really hard time to keep up with all the news and all the things happening, also within our community and the other communities we're in. But obviously it was not something to miss. So I really saw it, of course. And I think we can welcome some new true Bitcoiners, right?
Exactly,
because I think
just like that.
Yeah. Everyone, it happens to everyone every once in a while, or maybe one time once in a lifetime, and then you become a very, very strong Bitcoin believer. So
you come.
So welcome to all new.
Welcome, everybody. You're here to stay, right?
Yeah.
And there was something far more interesting. It was yesterday, I think. Carsten Otto twittered about an experiment he did on testnet. Because he sent 60 million sets from his node.
I didn't miss that one. No, I saw it.
And it took 10 iterations, 30 routes, and 13 seconds, and without prior knowledge about the network. That's what he said. And René Picard answered optimally reliable payment flows verified, because it's Picard payments is something very interesting. Rusty Russell wrote also a tweet about it, a thread. Rusty's unreliable René Pay guide, he calls it. I will put it in show notes. It's interesting to read and to look at the video of the amazing experiment they did. So yeah,
I don't think I'm going to send that amount of sets in my whole life through my own node, right? I mean,
no, but
just paying for my beer and some food.
Right?
I mean, come on, man, 60 million sets.
But these are the experiments that are really interesting. But no, of course.
Crazy.
And who do we have today, Stef?
Yeah, today we have a very interesting guy. Yeah, we know by now that it will be Peter. From Arizona, I think
we were thinking.
His wife has a day off today, so we can have a chat with Peter. Very nice guy, and he and his wife are a team from Arizona, and they call themselves AZHODL, and they're all about sustainability, Lightning, and mining. So I think it's a great combination.
Yeah, sustainability mining is interesting.
Yeah.
Well.
So, but first, Edward, we need to talk a little bit about the statistics of the Lightning Network and, of course, about our Rings of Fire community.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Let's do that.
Connecter le monde.
So, let's have a look at the amount of Bitcoin that we pushed into the network. Last week, it was a little over 31.76. And this week, we added 56 million Satoshis. So we are now at 32.32 Bitcoin.
It's a nice number.
Nice number with around 1,120 members participating in over 143 rings, Edward.
Nice. And we're now at block height 736,610. And if we look at the Lightning Network as a whole, we added 56 nodes. Well, not we, but we all. It's now 16,706, and we added more than 60 Bitcoin to the network, and it's now 37,092. I see. and the value of today, Stef?
Yes, 1 million Satoshis is getting you $296, 284 euros, and 2009 Chinese yuan.
Connetti il mondo.
Well, then the news of this week. It's a little recap about a lot of things. First one is adopting Bitcoin 2022. Who or where will the next Bitcoin circular economy emerge alongside current communities in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Peru? There are a lot. South Africa, Senegal, and Brazil. We now know that a Bitcoin law is not a requirement for adoption, and that's really interesting. On November 15 till 17, the Bitcoin conference Adopting Bitcoin 2022 will take place in San Salvador. So all eyes are on that conference, and I'm curious what will happen there. And then Najib Bukele announced on Twitter that 32 central banks and 12 financial authorities from 44 countries are to meet on Monday, May 16th. So that's today, to discuss financial inclusion, digital economy, banking the unbanked, they say, El Salvador's Bitcoin rollout and its benefits in the country. And a perfect ending to the article Nick wrote. He's the head of news of Bitcoin Magazine. And he said, gradually, then suddenly.
We missed the invitation, Edward.
Interesting.
I mean, we are both central bankers, right? We are our own
exactly.
central bank.
We all are.
Yeah. Where was the invitation, Najib?
Yeah, that's right. And then there is, I added this to the show notes, but there isn't a real announcement. But we heard it first in another podcast in the Netherlands. Blep is a Bitcoin exchange and a product of Bitonic. And Bitonic is a Bitcoin company founded in 2012 in the Netherlands. And they announced that they will support Lightning. Yeah. So
finally,
we're happy.
So great job, Bitonic and the team.
Yeah,
I think it's something to be proud of, right? As a Dutchie, exactly. I mean, we're such a small country, and even we can have some stuff like this developed, right? So that's very nice. Good job, guys.
It really is. And then I've added this one because of our guest of today, immersion tank pool heater. There's a tech engineer. There are so many examples of great mining experiments, of course. And I've added a tweet of a tech engineer who built an immersion tank pool heater mining rig with amazing results to heat up his swimming pool.
I saw that, yeah.
That's nice. And an open letter to a Bitcoin adopting friend on Wall Street, because João Grillo wrote a guest post in Bitcoin Magazine, and it's an open letter to lead Wall Street employees to the Bitcoin rabbit hole. The goal is to trigger the reader to see things differently and stay open-minded about Bitcoin being the biggest social disruption of this century. So if you can get those Wall Street employees in the rabbit hole, then the whole world will follow, I think. And Lightspark, David Marcus, former lead of Facebook Messenger, so Meta, announced the creation of Lightspark. It's a Lightning Network infrastructure company, and he believes in a need for change in our payment and financial systems. Well, we all do. Lightspark will focus on building, exploring, and creating on the Lightning Network. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but there's an article in the show notes. And then I've added this one because of my background in art. I find it very interesting. If you, for those who weren't at Bitcoin 2022 and haven't seen it, there was an amazing art gallery at that conference, and that gave us a glimpse about how to look at the time we're living in right now. Artists made work with themes like creating worlds that were previously unimaginable or inspired by the immaculate conception of Bitcoin, and about rising to the occasion of fighting against oppressors. And I'm quoting Craig Deutsch, who wrote the guest post on Bitcoin Magazine. And he said, a historian specializing in the time period between the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, Joshua Rosenthal, explained some of the particular characteristics that made the last Renaissance lasting and noteworthy. He mentioned that there were dozens of Renaissance throughout the history, but none were as successful as the Renaissance from the 14th and 17th century, because the previous ones didn't utilize decentralized technology and weren't tied to money or communication. And he said the printing press gave people the ability to share ideas at scale. It was actually the widespread sharing of images, like memes nowadays, which was the main way people were able to experience something that was completely beyond belief. And Rosenthal ends with the following sentence: to think about the people that are in the greatest periods of change are the least likely to notice it.
Cool.
So history will tell our story.
Yeah, I'm checking at the article now, and I see also
really
art from
great.
the cryptography guy. I really like his style. It's amazing.
Yeah, something for your wall, right?
Yeah. It's a bit busy now.
Yeah.
I've put my Bitcoin Day newspaper, but I don't think.
See it.
Yeah, I don't think you can see it because it's out of focus on my face.
Yeah. But I see the contours.
Nice, right?
Great.
Don't tell my wife, because I'm sure she will remove it.
I love it, really.
Yeah, me too.
I've mine too, and I need to put it in a thing to put it on.
Yeah.
We have 3 updates that are worth mentioning. Umbrel, Start9, and Zeus. Umbrel have some updates and bug fixes and added 2 new apps. Elements Core to run a liquid network full node. Interesting. And IPFS podcasting. And Start9 added wallet support for Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow, and Bitbox, and added electors to the Embassy Marketplace. So you can enable now address and TX lookup in mempool. Then Zeus also added an update worth mentioning. LND users can now spend unconformed UTXOs, and on-chain balance fix was there for LND users, and decreasing the QR code size for low-res phones. And that was it for this week.
Cool.
All right.
世界をつなぐ
Okay, so let's have a look at the rings forecast. We have 2 spots left as the 1 million Satoshis 41st ring, and the 2 million Satoshis 22nd ring is full, but we have some delays due to a full mempool. So we are waiting on other rings to finish, and then we will open this ring. And I also saw that there were some participants from the rings that needs to be balanced first also participating in this ring. So we want to keep it a bit. We want to have some a good overview. So we are waiting for the previous rings to finish first. So please be a bit patient for that. Last week I see there were some mempool issues, Edward.
Yeah, that's right. And especially with a Raspberry Pi with 4 gigabytes, then you could have issues with memory. And if you're running a lot of apps, also the mempool itself, because of the MySQL database.
Yeah,
it's temporary, and this week will probably be okay. I've added a Twitter thread to read about it, and it's temporary. So now it's I think around 15 sats per VB byte.
Yeah, it's quite full still.
Yeah, it's quite full. Yeah. So that's a problem. And then you have a lot of transactions and a lot of selling also. So if you open a channel, then you could have some problems.
Yeah, we have to be a bit patient. We are not in a hurry. That's what we always say. So, a special thanks to Jury again, because Jury was the master of ceremony last week. And he balanced 3 rings, starting with the 10 million Satoshis 7th ring. Node operators from Great Britain, USA, and Holland, Brazil, and Swiss. Woohoo! This ring with 5 participants from 5 different countries added a half Bitcoin to the Lightning Network. My fear of accidental routing with these high amounts is huge. While I was sweating bullets, Marcus Milland and his ring colleagues were cool as a cucumber. The ring was balanced nice and quick. So well done all. And then we had the 500K 34th ring. We had node operators from, I see, Mexico, Swiss, Germany, Holland, Great Britain. A lot of new community members in this ring from a variety of countries. Ringleader Martin Wright prepared well. on time, and everyone joined in on time, which resulted in a very smooth balancing. Well done all, and enjoy your freshly balanced channels. And also thank you for feedback on the Ring Tools board. I missed it, but I'm sure that was some nice feedback. And then we had the 1 million Satoshis 39th ring with node operators from Spain. This also, I see 6 flags, man. So Spain, USA, Germany, I think it's Iceland, Turkey, the first participant for Turkey. I know him because I welcomed him as a first participant from Turkey. And I think this is it Norway? No, it's not Norway, right?
It's
Finland.
Sweden? No?
Sorry, Finland. Yeah,
Finland.
Stupid. Yeah. So not all rings are balanced equally. That was once again proved by this ring. Our primary ringleader, Lightning B, prepared very well, but unfortunately, at the time of balancing, the LNDG of one of the members saw its window of opportunity with the 0 fees and decided to balance a part of the ring for us. This posed quite a challenge to decide how to proceed. Luckily, it was DJ Maestro's two weekly moment to shine, and after creating a bypass, he winched it once again. Tough one, but awesome. We made it together. Well done all.
Does DJ Maestro also make music, or?
I don't know. He is pretty good in balancing rings, that's for sure.
Well, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Everything is okie dokie again. Thanks, Stef, for this. And let's go to the lightning notes.
Let's do it.
Conectează lumea.
Make sure to secure your home network. So change default passwords and use two-factor authentication where possible. And keep your software up to date. It's also very important. Please keep in mind that the whole Lightning network is very experimental. Software like MyNode, Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, for example, and many others, and LND also, are still in beta phase. Don't blindly run terminal commands on your node if you don't understand them yourself, and especially when prefixed with sudo. And the last one is also very important. Don't use Satoshis that you're not willing to lose. So if you're not aware of all security considerations, then read into it. Educate yourself, read articles, ask for help in Telegram groups with high reputation like ours, and listen to podcasts and learn by doing. Otherwise, don't participate.
Also, you can stay informed by following us on Twitter. You can find us at Satoshi Radio ROF. And follow our Lightning leader, Jonī Kyasshu. Join our Telegram groups, Satoshi Radio, Ring of Fire, and Connect the World. And check our website, satoshi.radio. It would be nice for you to be part of our Amboss community. You can find us there on Satoshi Radio. And like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Use Podcasting 2.0 to listen to Connect the World. And you can check SATA trading for the current value. You can find all this information, of course, also in the show notes as well.
All right, let's get on to the show. Conecta el mundo. Welcome, Peter. AZHODL.
Welcome, man.
We're excited to have you on the show, man.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
And there was a bit of a disappointment in your face that you weren't Satoshi Nakamoto. Why is that?
You dreamt about it.
I ascribed to the belief that maybe we're all Satoshi Nakamoto. So I was questioning that answer.
Okay. Yeah. So you wanted to answer yes, maybe.
I did, yeah.
That's nice. Nice that you say that we're perhaps all Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah. It's more like an idea, right? Yeah.
Yes. We saw that you visited the Bitcoin conference in 2021, but did you also visit the 2022 edition a few weeks ago?
Yes, I did.
And how was it?
It was bigger. It was more well organized. It was nice. It was challenging because with so many main stages and so many important topics, because obviously I'm very pulled towards Lightning, but I'm obviously very pulled towards mining. They were on opposite ends. I ran back and forth so many times.
Because they had a stage only for mining.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Yeah, of course.
But luckily for you, they recorded everything, right? So you could watch everything when you came on.
So I skipped most of the main presentations to opt for the open source because I didn't know if those would come out.
Yeah, of course. But I think also it's nice that if you are there and you are in mining or Lightning, then you can really talk with people. And I think that's a big difference between recording, right? Yeah.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Nice. And I saw because a few of our community members also attended the conference, and One of the community members made a calculation that there were around 15,000 chairs in the main stage area.
He counted them.
It was huge.
But it's crazy, man.
So last year, the main stage was in this, it was in a big room, but there was far too many people, and there were these fire marshal issues or fire code issues. And basically, if you got a chair, you could not get up and go to the restroom and come back. So
you couldn't walk.
You couldn't. It was so full. So they did much better in that sense.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And they told us, because that was crazy, because they entered the main stage, and then they saw obviously all the chairs, and they thought that they saw the podium, but it was just the podium for the sound engineer. So they thought, what the fuck? And then they were walking around it, and then they saw the real podium, right? So it was way bigger than they couldn't imagine. So
yeah.
Crazy.
But it's still, they said it still is, it's big, but you still can walk to someone, to a CEO or some other persons of small companies that perhaps will be bigger, and you can actually talk with them. So I think that we're still early, right?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much going on.
My wife was able to connect with Senator Cynthia Loomis, who was there. That was pretty special.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cool. Exactly.
I was saving seats, so I didn't get to.
Did you also brought your kids, or?
No. We left the kids at home with my dad, and my wife and I got away for the week.
Cool. Oh, that's nice.
Or
the kids could save the seats, right?
Yes.
You can use them. No, it's nice.
And talking about your wife, because what I find very interesting, because Project AZHODL, which obviously stands for Arizona HODL, is managed by you and your wife. Who was the first to get orange pilled, and was it hard to convince the other? And we now know that you are on a Bitcoin standard, right? So it is not only orange pill someone, but you really need to convince your partner to get on a Bitcoin standard. So how did it go?
Yeah, so, it was an interesting process. I had been kind of just toying with Bitcoin for a few years, starting in like 2016. But it was really the events of 2020 that opened both of our eyes that this current system is broken. And I had known enough about Bitcoin to recognize that, like, if we want our kids to have a bright future and better hope, like, this is our only chance. And she did not question it. She understood it. She did a lot of her own research. And I joke a lot now that, I kind of work in Bitcoin. I work on this every day, but she's the biggest evangelist. Anyone she meets anywhere, she will tell them how important it is, when I'm more apt to kind of keep to myself and, not say much unless I'm questioned. She'll go out and talk to anyone.
Cool.
So we're a good team.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah.
But you orange pilled her then.
Yes.
And who came up with the idea to get on a Bitcoin standard? That was your wife, obviously, because she's more of the enthusiast of the two of you.
Yeah, so she thought of the name AZHODL because I was wanting to create this website because my previous business, we have a lot of personal relationships, and towards the end of my time there, I was very open about Bitcoin and trying to share the idea with people. And so I started getting a lot of individual requests for more information. So I thought, hey, let's just put a website together with the basic information to get people started, start their journey. And she's the one who thought of AZHODL, and the name stuck. It's a great name.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's really great name. Yeah, I saw also on your website a lot of tutorials or real basic help. So,
and that's it. It's just like that first level of like, what is this? How do I get started? Because I feel like everyone's journey is so individualized based on like their experience and their knowledge. You can't help everyone with a website, but you can at least kind of kickstart it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you can talk about it even more, of course. So education is very important. Yeah.
Yes.
And you went also to El Salvador, right?
Yes.
Yes. And you went there with the whole family?
No. So,
the
the Bitcoin community is amazing. I have met some of the most amazing, like, down to earth, like well-connected people via Telegram. My time building the nodes. And ironically, I was in this early ring of fire with this guy who was building a Bitcoin wallet. And we did a lot of work together, and I tried to help route for him and whatnot. And then one day he messaged me and said, hey, I have a weird question. Can I call you? And he had an extra stay at El Salvador. I just had to get there. And he asked if I wanted to go to this Bitcoin conference. Went down there, hung out with him a week, and we've become really good friends since then.
Cool. But was it the Ring of Fire organized by us, by Satoshi Radio, or?
This one, no, I think that this was one that I went through a little phase where once I learned how to use the Igniter script, I was just organizing myself with people. I don't know how we met initially, but I just organized it. I had a little bit of feedback process. I outlined it on my website, and he was struck by the organization of it. So cool. He followed up, and yeah.
That's really how it works, right, Stef? That you really connect with someone. You participate with Ring of Fire. You open up a channel with some liquidity, but it's also a person. That peer is a real someone who's also enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
So and especially nice. in the concept of the Ring of Fire, and now how we do this with our community. That you on Telegram we open subgroups. You're invited to that subgroup, and you get to know everyone from that ring. And I think I also have some new friends. I can tell. So and actually you Peter, you participated in the balls, in one of the balls of steel Ring of Fire with half a Bitcoin in it. So that's why I was thinking was it that Ring of Fire? But cool,
no,
man.
It wasn't a big channel like that. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, we have all kinds of questions for you, Peter, but it has to be in the part that we call the 21 minutes. So if you are guys ready, Peter and Edward, we would like to enter the part. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Cool, let's do it.
Conectează lumea.
You call yourself AZ or Arizona HODL. Is the HODL thing your main strategy if it comes to accumulate Bitcoin, or are you spending your sats as well?
Yeah, so I think a Bitcoin standard, living a Bitcoin standard involves spending a little Bitcoin. I also think I'm at a unique spot in my life where, Bitcoin is incredibly precious, but time is more precious. And so I have an opportunity right now to be home with my kids, raising my 3-year-old girls and my 4-year-old boy. I'm willing to spend Bitcoin to be here during their life for that. We were fortunate. We got in when we did, and we made the moves we did. That, I do spend Bitcoin, but I also try to accumulate and hold as much as we can.
So this is a bit of a struggle now. Every now and then, I can imagine.
You can't get time back. You can always try to get Bitcoin back. Yeah. So the time is fleeting.
Time is the most precious thing. Yeah.
And your node AZHODL has 185 channels. What do you use to manage your node? And do you use some sort of automation or?
Yeah, so up until recently, I was really managing it manually, basically daily, multiple times a day. I really wanted to learn, so I'm not native to computer science. This has been a new process for me since 2020. So I felt like being in there, working with it daily would help me understand the flow and what's going on the network. But then the first automation I deployed was Charge, LND, Charge. Yeah. Just managing the fee adjustments. So that was a huge relief for me. And then just recently, I deployed LNDG, which does fees. It does some rebalancing. It gives me a nice interface that I can easily decipher. I'm starting to automate now. But initially, no, I did it all by hand.
Cool. And I saw that you studied computer science, right?
So I am studying computer science now, but it's again, it's not a broad study. It's very specific to what I'm trying to work on, and then trying to backtrack what I don't understand.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the way how it works. Yeah, and I was also thinking there are a lot of scripts that are new in time. So at first there wasn't much to automate, and I think that went better when there are a lot of developers now. So It's also nice.
I just tried to take a cautious, approach because again, I don't understand. I didn't have a firm understanding, so I didn't want to deploy something that I didn't know what was happening and potentially risk something. So
says the man who is participating in half a Bitcoin Ring of Fire, by the way. very, very nice.
And Peter, on your website, you say your node has a constant uptime. And how can you guarantee that? Do you run a backup system to avoid power outages or a weak internet connection?
Yeah, so power I do have backed up. And so, I probably will go and rephrase that now after that's been brought to my attention, because that's not entirely accurate, but maybe I have good historical uptime. So I have built a off-grid solar circuit here. I have 12 kilowatts of solar power, which would probably power the node for a year or two. but I use it on the miners.
Great.
And then with the internet, for one, I sync the blockchain via Blockstream satellite, just as a backup to that. But then for ISP, I've been playing around with some cellular backups, but I don't have anything fully deployed yet. I haven't been happy with either the rates or the service of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if you think about when you started to building that first node, what would you have done differently today?
Well, so this is probably my fourth node. So I really did most of what I did on this node. You know, I started with some of those really basic out of the box. I think my node, and then I went to Umbrel, then I went to Raspberry Blitz. And then at that point, I had become knowledgeable enough and understand enough, not a lot, but enough to recognize that I wanted some kind of specialized hardware with it. And I reached out to probably, the smartest guy I could find in the community, which is Sevi from LnRouter. And we set up an agreement, and he kind of walked me through the whole build process. And I learned a ton about hardware, software, and Lightning while doing that. It was a great experience.
Cool.
Nice.
And you also met him through Telegram then, or within one of the communities, or?
Probably just on Twitter, and then I was so impressed with LnRouter and what he was building there, because this was probably close to a year ago. So it wasn't even as great as it was now, but I just knew that something was special about him and what he was building. So I reached out, and he was always very friendly. And then I made this request, and he totally agreed.
Yeah. We also talked with him in an episode about LnRouter.app, and also with Carsten Otto last week.
Yes.
And we talked about the importance of speed. As Savvy was all speed is most important thing. So low latency response time of a Lightning node. And on LnRouter.app, your node shows a response time of 0.2 seconds, I see. What did you do to make it much faster? Was it all with tips, or... like he said, because I re-listened to his podcast recently. That channel on LND, that channel DB becomes cumbersome, and that does slow things down. Yeah.
So I think having more powerful hardware helps with that. I can't find a solution to minimize that DB until they come out with the new database options. I think that's really it. I think the improved hardware and also integrating ClearNet. So before LND 14 came out, Sevi and Carsten helped me do a kind of a Tor and ClearNet. So that wasn't native yet in LND, but Carsten had figured that out. And so they patched that in with me, and that helped tremendously.
I think that's what I hear a lot these days. That opening your node also to ClearNet really increases the response time, or decreases the response time. So I think that's a great tip to our listeners and viewers for the show. That if you want to decrease that response time, that you need to integrate that.
Obviously, there's trade-offs though, right? Because you're giving more of your information out in that scenario, so you just have to weigh those risks versus what your goals are.
Exactly, because it's ClearNet is also you really have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's
and the pursuit of self-sovereignty seems to be very important to you. Do you think that Bitcoiners in the Western countries often want to be self-sovereign in as many areas as possible? So, for example, permaculture, self-sufficient energy, and then Bitcoin is the next logical step?
Yes, without a doubt. I don't want to take this on a tangent, but my career was in health and wellness, and I always thought nutrition was the most important thing. But I realized that sound money is more important. Like sound money feeds into your health, and so self-sovereignty, like having your own food, having your own energy, is great. But you're still going to need some type of way to store value other than livestock or land or exchange. And I think Bitcoin is the core to that.
And also, alone we're nothing, and we need each other. And as you said in the 10 questions, this is a way of life, and it combines a lot of more things than only nutrition or permaculture, but also the Bitcoin standard.
Yes.
So that's nice. And Senator Wendy Rogers has introduced a bill proposing to make Bitcoin a legal tender in the U.S. state of Arizona, beginning 2022. It could become the first state to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender. What do you think? Is it possible? Do you have an update on it?
Yeah, so what I think it's an important step. I think it raises awareness. I think right after she did that, we saw other similar, not the same, but similar bills from other states. So it's good to get it out in front of people.
Yeah.
Looking at the way our Constitution is set up, states cannot coin their own money. But I think the angle that she's trying to take is to designate it as a species. So I've been doing a little bit of constitutional reading. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but it's really interesting because our monetary system is at odds with our Constitution. And so maybe she has a chance, probably not, but I think it's an important step. I really do.
Definitely.
And I saw a tweet of you about your experiment with a solar and peak utility to contribute 130 terahashes to the network. It was also a shout out to Chaincode Labs that non-programmers or developers can contribute to the network. Did you attend a seminar with them or?
Yeah, so I did their January Bitcoin development seminar. It's funny. So, I consider myself a Lightning guy. So I signed up for the Lightning seminar and they said, sure, answer these questions. It's like Rust base. And I look at these questions and I'm like, oh crap, I'm not ready for this, So I responded. I said, okay, I guess I have some more learning. Thanks for the opportunity. And then they responded back, well, maybe you would be interested in the Bitcoin development seminar. And I said, sure. And it was much more, it was perfect for me. It covers really all aspects of the Bitcoin protocol, different forms of consensus. And during it, I realized that I've learned a lot. I realized that there's still a lot to learn if I really want to be a programmer to build in Bitcoin. But it made me realize that, I can use my strengths, the history of building things in construction and welding, that there's ways for me to contribute right now outside of the Lightning node. And that's what prompted... I had wanted to build a off-grid solar array for many years. I had actually had the solar panels. I bought them, a year or two previous. And it was during that seminar, I pulled the trigger. Okay, I'm starting now. I'm going to do this.
A real shout out again for people who think, well, you need to be a developer to do something with, to actually add something, but you can still do it. So that's great. Yeah. And you're running a project where you can test the viability and benefit of using an off-grid solar array. You just said it, so I thought, hit it off with this question. And to offset your utility cost of powering Bitcoin miners at home, how do you come up with it?
So, okay, I had this idea, and I've known for a long time that if you put solar panels on your house, you'll offset your bill, and any excess you'll sell back to the utility, but it's at a discounted rate. Since I built my system, I've met a gentleman in California working in the same field, and he taught me that when any renewable energy reaches about 10% saturation in a geographic region or on the same utility, the value of that energy decreases because there's an abundance of it all at the same time. If it's wind energy, it's all online at the same time and it's hard to utilize. If it's solar, it's always from 10 to 3. And so I see Bitcoin mining with these large solar installs a way to offset that devaluation. And that's what I'm trying. I wanted to build this first small scale at my house just to prove I could do it. And the next is trying to get a commercial project here in the area where they have excess solar energy, hooking more miners up to it, and then going bigger from there.
Even better,
cool.
Yeah.
Make Bitcoin green.
Well, I want Bitcoin mining in Arizona, and so sunshine is our biggest natural resource. So let's find a way to utilize it. Yeah.
And how do you monitor the energy consumption of the miners in comparison with the generated consumption of the solar panels then?
Yeah. So again, I'm a novice here on the computer, but I found some Python scripts on GitHub. I installed them on an extra Raspberry Pi W I have, plugged it right into my inverter, and so it maps out via a dashboard the solar panel production, the inverter levels, when I pull from the grid, when I don't, and then my battery charge, and then I just combine, and it also shows me what I'm using at the miners. I combine that with known factors from my utility. I know that my utility rates go up at 3 p.m. on weekdays, and I know that it goes down at 8 p.m. So my entire goal with this has been to be off-grid during that 3 to 8 p.m. running my miners from solar and battery. I'm getting close. I've made it to about 7:45. I'm still a few minutes in. And so I've just been playing with the how much power is going to the miners. I'm playing with the charge of the batteries and trying to get there.
Cool.
And your goal was to make the investment of half a Bitcoin back within 36 months.
Yes.
Are you succeeding with that?
Yes and no. As a novice, I overlooked the fact of the 2024 halving, so that obviously is probably going to not make it happen because obviously the issuance rate or my reward is going to go down. But for the most part, if the halving was not there, I would say I'm very close to it. And I think I ascribe to the belief. So that was kind of one goal of this. Okay, I'm going to spend this money. I'm going to spend this Bitcoin. It'd be nice to make it back. But I ascribe to the belief that every Bitcoin hodler, just like we own a percentage of the Bitcoin supply, I think that we should own some percentage of the hash rate too.
Yeah.
So I was kind of killing multiple birds with one stone and building a pilot at the same time.
Yeah,
cool. And is a fully zero emission Bitcoin and Lightning network possible? How fast can we realize that? What's your vision on that?
Yeah, so zero emission. I don't. Maybe could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean zero emission in energy. I mean, of course, buying all these solar panels are also things that will have some emission with it, but.
And running Lightning nodes also on.
But at least the mining of Bitcoin, will it be possible with zero emission?
I don't know. I would not call solar zero emission because in reality, I have these lithium batteries right here. Like that's a pretty serious process. The solar panels. So there's so much more to consider than just exactly how that energy is being developed. I do believe that there's a lot of power from the sun to be harnessed, but I think our technology needs to continue to improve.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do my part in getting us there. The Lightning Network, I don't know how much energy the Lightning Network really uses. Because most Raspberry Pis are 5 watts?
Yeah, that's not much. No, that's right. Yeah. And can you give us some insights about the use of the Lightning Network in Arizona? Do you know that?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot going on. There is a great Arizona Bitcoin community here. It's kind of far from me. I don't interact with them a whole lot, but they're doing wonderful things. Recently, I've been trying to think about how I can help contribute, and I've thought, I have a lot of relationships who own small businesses. So my goal, especially watching that strike rollout, is to help integrate small businesses into the Lightning Network. Even though they won't utilize it a lot, I think it's an opportunity for them to accumulate, some KYC-free sats. And I also think it's a way to help spread the awareness of Bitcoin. Like I always use an example of a barber shop that probably sees a few hundred people a day. If they all see a "We accept Bitcoin," logo, like it's constant reinforcement for those customers.
Yeah. And what was your first experience with the Lightning Network?
Yeah. So so back when I had the gym, I had gotten to a point where I wanted to accept Bitcoin. So this was 2021. I did not know of Lightning then, and I built a node mostly right, and I tried to install BTC Pay Server on it, and I never got to the point where I integrated it with our website, but I knew I wanted to do this. Fast forward probably 6 or 7 months, I had sold the business, and that's when I really dedicated myself to Bitcoin. And I thought the best place to start would be just to build a Lightning node because I was aware of it then and just begin interacting and seeing what this is. I really felt like the Bitcoin Lightning Network in 2021 was like Bitcoin in 2012 or so, very early on. And, made a lot of mistakes. I just, opened reckless channels and just did all kinds of things. But I learned a lot, met a lot of good people, and that refined my process till now.
Nice. And it seems that there is an increasing concentration of Lightning nodes in certain places in the world. Do you think this will be a problem in the future, or is it just an organic way of growing we see?
Yeah, I mean, it appears to me, and I don't research this a lot, but the growth of Lightning nodes really appears to be one of the most organic things I've ever seen. Like watching Sevi's graph on LnRouter, like it's a beautiful thing. I think that there's always potential risk from ISP consolidation. But yeah, geographic region, I don't know, because it's so easy to spin one up on Tor. You know, I think that it's a very valuable tool for us. It's a very flexible tool that we can always kind of finagle in.
Mm-hmm. But running your node requires some technical knowledge, and of course you need some financial capabilities to buy and maintain one. But how can this be accessible to people in developing countries then?
Yeah, one thing I learned during the Chain Code Lab seminar was the absolute importance that was put on, obviously the block size, the blockchain size, and the ability to run a Bitcoin node on the most economical device possible. Now, obviously, in the last year, Raspberry Pis have gone up a lot in money, but hopefully that will correct soon. But yeah, I don't know of any other financial instrument right now that can be ran on something cheaper. And I think as our developers get better and continue their work, it's only going to get smaller and more efficient. So then the only challenge they face is liquidity. And I've seen it countless times on Telegram and Twitter where a new node opens up on an island and suddenly they're flooded with inbound because the plebs want to participate. They want to help.
Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. Yeah.
Then the whole social community steps in, right? That's what we see very often.
Yeah, because it's peer-to-peer. So every node is a person. Yeah. Do you believe?
Could I pause one? So you said, of course. You said social community, and one of the biggest takeaways from the Chain Code Labs was social consensus was the final protection of the Bitcoin protocol. If all other defenses failed, if SHA-256 goes out 51%, like if everything fails, it comes down to social consensus. So it's such an integral part to this.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Very important. Yeah. And do you believe Bitcoin and the Lightning Network as a layer 2 solution will be a solution for major problems in the world?
I think it'll help. I think we have to separate money and state. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We've tried it countless times. I think we have something new to try now with fair, equal money that everybody knows the rules to. So I think that it can be the start to a lot of our problems. Yes.
Yeah. And the lack of good financial services and high transaction costs and corrupt governments, as you just mentioned, is accelerating the global adoption of Lightning. But what is driving in developing countries? But what is driving the adoption in the first world countries then?
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's it's a speculative asset, but I think people are quickly realizing that it's a savings technology. And I think Jack Mallers has helped us to realize that it's also a better payment rail that we can now go to merchants and help them recognize that benefit. So it's like top down and bottom up.
And when I was asking this question, I remember that one of our community members attended also Bitcoin 2022, and he told us that he decided to leave his credit card at the apartment, and he only brought his phone with his Zeus wallet connected to his node in Holland, and he managed to live on a Bitcoin standard using his own node there. So I think also in first world countries, it can be very helpful to bring your Lightning wallet.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's just getting started and it's only going to improve.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a nice ending. Yes. Because we had a lot of more questions, but perhaps you want to be on our show another time. That would be great. Would be our honor.
Verbind de wereld.
We have one question left for you, Peter, because last week we had Koji Higashi talking about social communities, by the way. He's running Diamond Hands, obviously, from Japan. And we asked him to come up with a question for you. So Edward will play the audio file and you may answer it then.
My question to them is, do you guys think Lightning routing will be something like Bitcoin mining, which is a very profitable business, or this is going to be more of a hobby thing for most individuals and we cannot make a lot of money by routing? So that's my question.
And I think you are the perfect person to ask because you are in both worlds.
Yeah, so I think just like Bitcoin mining, it can be profitable for very serious ventures. And I think just like Bitcoin home mining, it can be a hobby for those who wish it to be. I think regardless, we will see that there is a net positive from routing. I don't think that you will lose money from it as long as we're exercising some caution and following some basic techniques. But yes, it will be a plus. Whether you'll make a living on it, that's questionable, but who knows what the future holds.
Exactly. And next time we have a new guest, Rusoft. You just talked about him. He's a developer from Canada, and we know him of the Igniter script we use to set the rings on fire to rebalance. We want to ask him also a question from you. Which question can we ask him?
Yeah, so I'm really interested if he sees in the future there will be easy migrations between the node implementations, so like LND, C Lightning, Eclair, and so on. Like, is there incentive for that? Is that going to happen, or are they always going to be in their kind of semi-walled gardens?
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard a lot of discussion about that, so that's nice to hear the answer.
We will ask him next week.
Yeah.
Conectar el mundo.
Thanks for being in the show, Peter. This was really great. Yeah.
It was awesome to be here, guys.
We managed to ask actually a pretty decent amount of questions to you, Peter.
Yeah,
so,
I saw it. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Thank you. Thanks again. And where can people follow you? Can you maybe share your Twitter or?
Yeah, so on Twitter, I am AZ_HODL. Telegram's the same thing, GitHub's the same thing, and then I have a website published at AZHODL.com. No underscore there.
Yeah.
And you and your wife are both managing those accounts, right?
Yeah, primarily me, but I always get updates from her if I should make changes and things. I'm the more technical of the two.
Cool, nice.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks for all members participating in the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks for everyone helping us to connect the world together. And if you like our content, please share us in our mission and visit our website, support connecttheworld.live, where you can donate and subscribe and like and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning, and see you all next week with Rusoft on the same Lightning channel. Ahí te ves, Peter.
Vaya con Dios.
Adiós.
Vaya con Dios.